Well, good morning, everyone. Day of remembering the Twin Towers of 9/11. But let's go back before 9/11. The very first attack, a terrorist attack on the Twin Towers. Um, this was the beginning to 9/11. They were planning to take down the two buildings at back in 1993. So they took that long to plan in 2001 of September. So I'm going ahead and read um, this, and this is this is the start of 9/11. World Trade Center bombing of 1993, a terrorist attack, New York, United States. World Trade Center bombing of 93, terrorist attack on February 26, 1993, which was a truck bomb exploded in the basement level parking garage under the World Trade Center complex. 6 people were killed, more than 1,000 injured in what was at that time the deadliest act of terrorism on the United States soil. Now, the attack, World Trade Center bombing plot began in months before September 1st, 1992, when the two of the main conspirators, Ahmad and Ramzi, arrived in the United States from Pakistan. Upon detecting his poorly falsifying Swedish passport, custom agent detained Ahmad and confessed taking his suitcase, which contains bombing materials and anti-American propaganda. Now, Ramzi, traveling on an Iraq passport bearing the name Abdul Muhammad, requests political asylum. He was arrested for entering the United States without a visa, was released on his own recognizance, allowing into the country. Now, Ahmad, waiting in jail, and Ramzi began to imply a plan to allege aim to toppling the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center on October 1st. He moved into a rented room in the Little Egypt section of Jersey City, New Jersey, with another conspirator, Muhammad. Now, the plotters purchased bomb-making materials and stored them in a locker rented by Muhammad on January 1st, 1993. Now, Muhammad also rented a garage apartment in Jersey for the use of bomb factory. Over the next several weeks, the group assembled a 1,500-pound bomb. Now, Muhammad went on scouting missions to the World Trade Center, and you have these other people who's his name, Ramzi, scouting too at the same time. So on February 23rd, 1993, you got Muhammad rented a van, which he reported stolen 2 days later in order to establish alibi. The men purchased several tanks of hydrogen gas and loaded them into the bomb laden van to modify the power of the explosion in early morning hours on February 26th. Now, Muhammad, another conspiracy, filled the gas tanks of his car in the rented van. All these people that drove to the lower Manhattan. The van was left in the parking garage in the World Trade Center complex at 12:18 p.m. The explosion exploded, opening a blast crater 6 stories deep and 200 feet wide. Within hours, Muhammad went to the rental agency to claim his deposit for a stolen van. He was told to return later. Ismail fled to Jordan, and the mastermind of the operation was on a flight to Pakistan that evening. By the time Yusuf had left the country, authorities had already received more than 50 phone calls claiming responsible for the bombing, as well as a handful of fake bomb threats at targets throughout New York City. With few leads, an initial suspect, including Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi of Iraq President Saddam Hussein, seemed the most likely candidates as the bombing took place on the second anniversary of the defeated by the United States forces in Kuwait. In the investigation trial, within 2 days of the bombing, the federal investigation uncovered a charred, mangled piece of the van chassis that bear the vehicle identification number. That number led authorities to the rental agency in Jersey. On March 4th, when Muhammad returned to claim the refund on his deposit, the FBI arrested him. The rental agreement, Muhammad pocket bores the trace of the bomb residue, as well as the address of Jersey's apartment. At the apartment, authorities found other roommates, Abdel, who led them to the bomb factory. A son who was not taken into custody left the country the next day, headed to Iraq, and all flee to New York for Saudi Arabia. He was arrested in Egypt on March 10th, the same day with other conspirators. Was arrested in New Jersey. With Hassan in Iraq and Yusuf still at large, the federal grand jury in Manhattan handed down 11 counts indictment against all these men. The trial began September 16th, 1993. The case against all these suspects was linked to each stage of the plot through the phone, bank, rental records, and was considered a spokesman for the plot. Authorities recovered a draft of communication sent to the New York Times from his computer. This document claims responsible of the bombing in the name of the 5th Battalion of Liberation of Army and demand that the United States cease giving aid to Israel. It's hard to say this one, but was placed at the garage apartment on many occasions and at the gas station the morning of the bombing. Ajar, who had spent the durations of the plot in jail, was implemented as Yusuf charged with carrying the bombing materials from Pakistan. As Yusuf associated with the charge in carrying bombing, Byers' defense attorney repeat the argument of Yusuf that apparently architect the bombing had duped the defendants, who were portrayed as unwitting participants. On March 4th, 1994, after 4 months, 1,000 exhibits and more of those 200 witnesses were all convicted and each sentenced 240 years in prison. After the 2 years manhunt, Yusuf was captured in Pakistan in February of 1995, and he and Ismail, who was arrested in Jordan in August 1995, were tried and convicted in fall of 1997. So this was the start of the 9/11. It took them several years to come up with a different way to attack the United States on those two twin towers. and we found out. I said at that time when they attacked one of the Twin Towers trying to blow up, they're going to try it again, in which they did. In 2001, it was September 11th. They went bigger. I said the only way they would have gone bigger was using airplanes, long distance airplanes. They're like a missile that could take down anything, because the fuel on those things was fully capacitated, and it was like a ticky time bomb if you crashed into it. So that is the start of 9/11. They tried to take it down. So the other conspirators took this long to attack us on 9/11. And they can still attack us at any time. It doesn't matter how many times we changed our rules at airports and stuff. They'll figure out a way we would be relaxed, knowing, hey, these guys are relaxed. We can get through here and there. So that's the start of 9/11 back in 1993 when they first attacked the Twin Towers. They were trying to blow the main support of that building, but the guy parked at the wrong area. And that's would have been, that Twin Towers would have came down. That's what they were trying to hit the main support in the parking garage. So that was the start of 9/11 in 2000. So it took those many years from 1993 until that date. You notice that it did say September. Let's see, where was it? September 1st, World Trade Center bombing began the month before September 1st. So they had the month already in 1992. So they figured they'd make another date. It's September. All they had to do is add a 1 to that, September 11th, 2001. And all they had to do is change the numbers here, bring the 2 in front of the 1, add zeros, change these to zeros, change the 9 to the 0. So they already had the plan to figure out what to do at that time. So, hey, thanks for coming in. Please remember those men and women who died in those buildings, and those men and women, the emergency vehicles, responders who died trying to save lives in that building, to reach them, put out the fire, and those who are in those planes crashed in the Pentagon, Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The plane crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and the 5th plane was never take off. They stopped it, and the terrorists ran out of that plane so they wouldn't get caught. Please remember all those people who passed in this terrorist attack. We'll always remember, like we always say, we'll remember Pearl Harbor every single day. Those men and women who were killed fighting for freedom. And these people in Flight 93, they were fighting for freedom. Take down the plane to make sure they don't hurt anybody else. We don't know where that particular plane was going to go. Pentagon, White House. It had enough to destroy the Capitol building, the White House, and another attack on the Pentagon. Knowing that Twin Towers was done, they could have attack the Pentagon again. So never forget this day on 2001, September 11th. Send prayers to the people around the world who were in that tower. They were all different countries working in that two buildings, and including the Pentagon and those who were on those planes. God bless America. God bless those souls who had no choice. They died for this country. So thank you for coming, and I'll talk to you guys all later. Bye now.